Hello, Master Gitu Yuat. It's Wednesday, November 23rd. This is Africa 54.
Ghana's president warns that West Africa's Sahel Islamist insurgency is poised to spread across the entire region. We have a report. Tanzania's Dar Salaam has been on water rationing for a month, with critics saying that the government is at failure, as Charles Kombe details. Gambian Kawsu Jabbi is working to better youth by equipping them with computer and tech skills through his Kids in Technology initiative. All this and much more on today's Africa 54.
Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo is warning that West Africa's Sahel region is under threat of being engulfed by a rampant Islamist insurgency. Addo says the terrorist groups have been emboldened by their apparent success in the region and are now seeking new operational ground. Louisa Knox reports.
West Africa's Sahel region is under threat from being engulfed by a rampant Islamist insurgency. That's according to Ghana's president, Nana Akufo-Addo, on Tuesday.
Today, the terrorist groups, emboldened by their apparent success in the region, are seeking new operational grounds, a development that has triggered a southward drift of the menace from the Sahel to coastal West Africa.
Akufo-Addo's comments come as West African leaders and European ministers meet in Ghana as part of the Accra Initiative Security Conference. The aim of the talks is to discuss regional solutions to the spreading insurgency. It comes as foreign troops pull out of Mali, where militants have seized vast swathes of territory. France, Denmark and Ivory Coast are among countries that ended military cooperation with Mali this year over the ruling junta's cooperation with Russian mercenaries, sparking concerns that this will create a security vacuum in an area where groups linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State have already branched out, both into Mali's neighbours and also into coastal states south of the Sahel, such as Benin and Togo, which have both seen a rise in attacks in recent years. His European Council President, Charles Michel.
And this situation calls for rapid mobilizations from regional partners and from the entire international community, because your fight against terrorism is our fight too.
Despite efforts to fight insurgents, attacks have increased over the past decade. The violence has killed thousands of people and displaced more than 2.7 million across the Sahel, according to the United Nations. In June, the UN said that over 30 million people in the Sahel will require life-saving assistance and protection in 2022. That's almost 2 million more than the previous year.
That was Louisa Knox of Reuters reporting. And now for more perspective on this story, I'm joined live from here in Washington, D.C. by Baisu Sissoko, a senior program manager with the Key Bridge Foundation at the United States Department of Justice's ADA mediation program. Mr. Sissoko, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How serious and imminent is this threat that President Nana Akufo-Addo is alluding to?
I think it's a very serious threat. It's not a threat that's been that started today. It's been around since 2012, with the fall of the Gaddafi regime that ended with insurgents traveling to Mali heavily armed. And since then, the security and peace situation has worsened towards moving towards the coastal areas of West Africa. And I think this initiative is a welcome initiative that's hopefully with the goals of curbing the security situation which is spreading towards those coastal areas. So it's a very urgent. We've seen some as recently as a few months ago some attacks in those coastal areas. But we also have seen some collaborations that have been developing among those coastal countries to try to curb violence from spreading to the south.
Mr. Sissoko, maybe talk to us about which countries are most vulnerable and why.
And right now, we know that all Mali, Niger, which are also part of the initiatives, are very critical now. The entire countries have turned to red. But also we see that the spread is moving to neighboring countries, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Togo and Benin. We also have seen some attacks in Abidjan, in the Ivory Coast in the recent years. So we can say that really the insurgency and the spread of terrorism is really serious, not only to the countries that have been going through the insecurities and trying to promote peace, but also those who have had a historical record of preventing those violences, such as in the Ivory Coast, Togo, and Benin. So I think there's no country left out at this point in terms of risk, and the only way forward will be to cooperate with one another, because any country in the Sahel right now in West Africa is at risk.
And very briefly, Mr. Sissoko, what will it take for the West Africa regional bloc to defeat these insurgents? What do they need to do?
I think there's been a lot of different types of interventions. There's been local interventions, but also regional and international interventions. And now what seems to be the goal of this initiative is really to create awareness, of the worsening situation in terms of security in the Sahel, but in West Africa in general, to also create an awareness that even though it is a regional issue, it has international implications, and three, that it will require all stakeholders to really come together, right, towards an inclusive initiative, which is what I believe this one is about. Mm-hmm. And right, the main aspect on what makes this one particularly different is
we're going to have to wrap it there, Mr. Sissoko, but thank you so much for your perspective. Baisu Sissoko is a senior program manager with the Key Bridge Foundation at the United States Department of Justice's ADA mediation program. The West Africa director of the United Nations Children's Fund says the organization is attempting to prevent Burkina Faso's conflict with jihadist groups from spreading to coastal countries such as Benin, Togo, Ghana, and Ivory Coast. Henry Wilkins reports from Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso.
1/5 of all schools in Burkina Faso are closed. More students are staying away as groups linked to Islamic State and Al-Qaeda are carrying out a brutal campaign of violence across the country. Around 700,000 students are being affected, including 13-year-old Sakinata Ouedraogo. She fled her hometown of Djibo 2 years ago and now lives in the capital, Ouagadougou. Because the government only registers displaced persons in camps far away from the capital, she is unable to apply for UN or state assistance.
A nonprofit was paying the school fees for my brother and me, so I was able to start high school. But I left the school because the association could no longer pay for us both.
While her brother continues to go to school, she works as a tailor. Her mother says the family had no choice but to leave Djibo and her children's school.
It was just too difficult. There were too many killings, attacks on police stations and gendarmeries. That's why we left, so we wouldn't get caught up in it.
The violence in Burkina Faso has been ongoing for 7 years now, and in the past 2 years, coastal countries on its southern border have been reporting violence too. Marie-Pierre Poirier, UNICEF's West and Central Africa Director, visited Burkina Faso last week with UNICEF representatives from those coastal countries to help them prepare for a crisis like that of Burkina Faso's. She spoke with VOA.
Benin, Togo, Ghana, Côte d'Ivoire are reporting attacks on the border areas. These are relatively limited, but what we can see is the rhythm is picking up. It is a reality, it's not just a possibility.
She says UNICEF is working with those countries to extend essential services in the north. They include education for displaced children and building social cohesion, something that analysts say was lacking in Burkina Faso and partly responsible for the conflict there. Sakinata, meanwhile, says she misses her history and geography classes.
In primary school, I liked history and geography because they taught us about the past and things we couldn't have imagined.
The Norwegian Refugee Council says a quarter of all the schools closed in West and Central Africa are in Burkina Faso. Henry Wilkins for VOA News, Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso.
It's been a month since residents in Dar es Salaam were put on water rations after a drop in the city's main water source at the Ruvu River. Authorities say the water supply problem is beyond their control, but critics see it as a failure to manage resources. Charles Kombe reports from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
39-year-old Dar es Salaam resident Halima Athman buys water from a private well for her daily use. For more than a month, city residents like her have been forced to buy water from commercial sellers due to a shortage of water supplied by the city.
Before we were buying 1 gallon for 500 shillings, but now it's 1,500 to 2,000. For us citizens with low income, that's a lot of money. I have a family, so how many gallons should I buy? It costs us a lot, and we can't afford it.
At the end of October, authorities in Dar es Salaam declared a water shortage and began rationing in Tanzania's largest city, home to about 5 million people. Officials say, due to drier conditions, the water supply from the Ruvu River, the city's main water source, has dropped to about 300 million liters a day, while the city demands 450 million liters. Critics say Tanzania's authorities should have done more to prepare for the drought.
We've been blaming this on lack of rain. What about those countries where they don't receive rainfall for a long time? Countries like the United Arab Emirates or Sahara countries. It's the government that lacks priority in the water sector.
If not resolved soon, the water shortage could impact on Tanzania's economy. The National Bureau of Statistics says Dar es Salaam accounts for 80% of the country's industrial activity. But weather experts say an end to the shortage is in sight.
We are heading to December. We are expecting an increase in rainfall. Rain will help in various economic activities. People will harvest water for domestic use, and the water shortage will decline.
Meanwhile, Athumani cleans with the little water she has and hopes for rain and a sustainable water supply. Charles Kombe for VOA News, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
Let's now turn to the FIFA World Cup in Qatar, where our sports reporter Sande Shomari is standing by with the latest. Hello, Sande.
Hello, Esther.
Hey, another upset today with Japan upsetting Germany. What are fans saying there in Doha?
Well, I'll tell you, Esther, this World Cup, we'll say, is full of surprises. This is another. Yesterday, I told you a baobab tree went down. I think tonight, an elephant went down. And what it is the blue samurais of Japan, when they came into this game, no one really thought that they're coming in to win. Maybe a draw, maybe a loss with fewer goals. But I tell you what, they came with strength, mental fitness, and strength to fight. Although Germans were tough, but they made it until the final whistle. They became triumphant. So we are here to write a story in our history books again, that this is another big surprise in 2022 World Cup. Are they going to be the Cinderella team? Or we'll see Saudi Arabia as the dark horse? That is yet to be answered. But Esther, there's a lot to see in this World Cup.
Definitely. Draws, losses, wins. Okay, another draw. The only African team to play today, Morocco versus Croatia. And another draw Sunday. What are fans saying over there? That's correct.
Esther, Morocco, as you know, is one of the best teams in Africa. But really, this year, they came in saying that the last time they were in this World Cup to go to another round was back in 1986. I don't know if you remember what you were doing at that time. But this time around, they said they really want to make it. They're tired of getting out on the first round. And that showed up tonight when they get that draw. So let's listen to what Faisal is saying, a fan from Morocco.
I hope Morocco, inshallah, they will qualify inshallah, they will pass the مجموعات, inshallah. And I hope they will win the World Cup. Okay. Yes. Morocco, inshallah. Yes, I want to say one word for Abdul Razak Hamdallah. He's a good player in a Moroccan team. Thank you, Abdul Razak Hamdallah. Thank you.
Sunday, talk to us
and
about...
And you see that fan is happy.
Yeah, he is exactly very happy. Sunday, what's the final game today?
Esther, the final game today is Belgium and Canada. You know what? Canada was this World Cup last time, Esther, 36 years ago. And now they're here. They want to show everybody that they can do it. It's a young team and facing Belgium. Belgium are then their golden age. This is the team with veterans. So we're going to see a great game. Looking forward for that as the last game tonight, Esther.
Go for it, Sunday, and get some good Qatari food over there. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. VOA Sunday Shomari reporting live for us from the World Cup in Doha, Qatar. We're excited to hear what you think about Africa 54 and all our VOA Africa programs on our website at voaafrica.com. Still to come in our technology report, a Gambian entrepreneur uses innovative technology to address educational problems for the youth. But first, Haiti Adams tells us what's on tap for Wednesday's Straight Talk Africa.
On the next Straight Talk Africa, the World Cup is underway in Qatar and excitement is at fever pitch. 5 African teams, including 3 from sub-Saharan Africa, are competing. Cameroon, Ghana, Morocco, Tunisia, and continental champions Senegal are the African teams participating. Join me, Haiti Adams, as we discuss the 2022 Soccer World Cup.
In other news, an onslaught of violent crime afflicting South Africa shows no sign of abating, according to police statistics released Wednesday that detailed a further surge in murders and kidnappings. Although the M23 rebels are advancing in Congo, in the eastern DRC city of Goma, people remain unfazed and are crowding bars and huddling in the market as usual. And senior U.S. officials say President Joe Biden's meeting next month with African leaders will amplify African voices in tackling this era's defining challenges, such as deepening food insecurity and climate crisis. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa toured the Royal Botanic Gardens queue with Prince Edward in the United Kingdom on Wednesday. On Tuesday, he was greeted with a traditional ceremony as he was welcomed by King Charles. It was the first state visit hosted by the British monarch since ascending to the throne in September. David Doyle has the details.
Britain's King Charles welcomed South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa to Buckingham Palace on Tuesday. This is the first time Charles has hosted a state visit since becoming the UK monarch in September. Ramaphosa, who leads Britain's biggest trading partner in Africa, was greeted with the traditional pomp and ceremony. That included gun salutes before a grand carriage procession to the palace. Britain hopes the visit, which had been planned before the death of Queen Elizabeth, will strengthen trade and investment ties between the two nations. It's also aimed at showing the importance of links with the Commonwealth of Nations, the international organisation which Charles now heads. British Foreign Secretary James Cleverly said the visit was a sign of our enduring commitment to the continent.
This is a reinforcement of the strong bilateral relationship that we have with South Africa, a real opportunity to build on that close working relationship and discuss some of the issues that affect us all, climate change, food security, energy security.
The state visit is the first to the UK by a world leader since that of former US President Donald Trump and his wife Melania in 2019. The last state visit to Britain by a South African leader was that of President Jacob Zuma in 2010.
That was David Doe of Reuters reporting, and it's time for our technology report. And joining us now is our tech reporter, Paul Ndiho. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Esther. A Gambian entrepreneur is leveraging technology to change the education system by building innovative solutions to address local problems. His goal is to impact young adults by nurturing and equipping the next generation of changemakers with computer skills. For more insight, I spoke with Kawsu Jabbi, founder and CEO of Kids in Technology, a youth-led company creating a tech ecosystem. Welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you very much.
You are trying to revolutionize the education system in the Gambia. Bring us up to speed. What is it that you're trying to do with technology?
What I do is to train kids to understand the fourth industrial revolution skills like Internet of Things, robotics, and coding particularly.
When these kids come to you, what are they interested in learning?
The kids learn, I have like 3 sections, basic fundamental of programming, computer programming, coding with picture blocks and Scratch. That is one component. And I have another component of Internet of Things where kids work with Arduino microcontrollers, sensors, jumper wires, breadboards. And another component that is robotics. You know, where kids interface with the robotics, how to assemble robots, and also how to give instruction, how to pass instruction, program them to accomplish a particular task.
You talked about how you're trying to change the education curriculum in your country. How has that been like, and what does it take really to change that? You have this mindset of people who are kind of like opposed to technology.
If you see the curriculum that the schools, most schools are using in the Gambia, you know, most of the contents are obsolete. You know, they are not fit for today's, they are not applicable in modern offices, modern workplaces, modern industries, you know, you name them. So there is a necessity, there's a need for the education system to be revamped, or at least to remedy the education system. We tailor-made it or we scale it, at least, you know, to match with the 21st century demand, the fourth industrial revolution demand, you know, because most of the things that our children are learning are rote memorization, you know, and then children are learning many things that they will not meet in their time of production. You know, it's all about memorization things, cramming past papers, white past papers, and then all those things. So we don't have that practical, we don't give them that practical sense and the freedom for them to express themselves, to learn skills that are rewarding, that matches with the fourth industrial revolution skills. So I see to it that part is lacking. Any school you go, you found kids learning the same thing, you know, the assembly line production, the mass production modeling and all those things. So I see to it that there is a need for us to do something for our kids in order for them to survive in the next war and, you know, to have a good well-being, you know, to be fit in the modern offices and all those things. So that's why I come up with a foundation called Kids in Technology, and I improvise tools and a mentorship, both human and material resources for the Gambian children to learn these rewarding skills at my foundation in the Gambia here.
In terms of impact or scale, you've been at this for a while. You've done it for, you've trained some young people who have gone on to things. When you look at it from the perspective of impact, how much impact do you think you've had on some of these kids?
So good. I made a lot of remarkable impact, in the life of the young ones in the Gambia here. Because I am a renowned STEM coach. I did a lot of projects, successful projects, IoT projects, Internet of Things, hackathons, school visits, national and international competition, because recently we are the champions in Africa when it comes to robotics, because we won a Pan-African Robotic Championship this year. And also we won the Global Innovation and Creativity Awards as well, and then a lot of other small awards in the country here locally. And because right now, one of the most influential foundations when it comes to digital literacy is Kids in Technology. And then we conducted a lot of seminars, workshops, and even play, because for us to convey because society don't actually know about technology. And so for us to make people understand technology, the importance, the career opportunities, we gather kids and then we train them how to do it in the form of a play.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time as well. Thanks for the invitation.
Kawsu Jabbi is a tech entrepreneur, founder and CEO of Banjul, Gambia-based Kids Technology. And that's today's tech report. Back to you, Esther.
Thank you, Paul. Very interesting. Join Paul Ndiho's technology reports every Wednesday on Africa 54. Let's turn now to Ivory Coast, where the first edition of a cultural festival known as Boyego took place in Guiglo. The event celebrates the culture of the Way, a people living across western Ivory Coast and neighboring Liberia. They speak their own languages that include numerous subgroups like Bete, Nyabwa, and Guer. They are believed to have been living in the region since the 13th century. Boyego is a way to showcase the traditions, crafts, and culture, promote peace and tourism, according to the organizers. Way are known for wearing traditional masks called glay. Mask festivals are common across West Africa. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, thanks for watching.